Okay, good morning. And I'm Deirdre O'Rourke. This is Welcome to My Two Cents on things that are going on. And let's get right into it because that's what all the information that I read on and how to start your channel suggests. Just don't overthink it, just jump into it and start. So that's what we're doing right now. Let's start with things that I'm liking on Instagram. One of them in particular, I'm loving the Tiny Chef. If you haven't seen the little Tiny Chef, he may even be part of a children's channel because I see him associated with Nickelodeon. Doesn't matter. He's for all ages. He's this little green ball of chefiness, and he has his own way of communicating, and the creators of this little fellow are the best. That in the background, and you'll get to know her very well, is Chloe. Also, when she's bad, known as Chloe Marie. She's being just fine right now. She'll conduct her own business there. Okay. What else can we talk about? So yeah, go to Tiny Chef. This little god, he's just so cute and really like it should be a little bright spot in your day. Think you like it. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, poor Andy Cohen. Now, I love Andy Cohen. I've been a fan of his from the very beginning. It's just the Christopher Columbus of, if you're allowed to say that, the Leif Erikson of reality television. And all these disgruntled housewives are now suing him. Now, I have watched each and every Housewife franchise since the day they premiered, so I feel that I know these women very well. And especially in the case of Brandy Glanville, this poor girl has been very troubled since the very beginning. Yet she sought this fame and continues to strive to be famous in front of the camera, and somehow feels that she is owed something for that. Um, in my estimation, she's not owed anything. She actively sought this. She Nobody made her act the way she's acting. At any time, she could have walked away from any of these shows that she's been on. And assuredly, at any time, she could have put down the drink because she's seen herself on camera. She knows what she looks like. Yet she continued to drink and just act, as the kids say these days, act the fool. Well, yeah, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Yeah, it's probably a duck. Same thing for Leah McSweeney, who I kind of blame even more than Brandy Glanville, because she's a very smart girl, she's a very savvy girl. And when she first started on The Real Housewives of New York, she out and out announced for anybody who wanted to hear that she had been sober for 10 years, but she decided to reintroduce alcohol into her life. She's very open, very clear on that since the get-go. And I think it was her very first episode that she famously stripped off all of her clothes and ripped tiki lamps of the ground at Ramona Singer's house, which is just fine by me. You do anything to annoy Ramona is a good deal. And they proceeded to launch the tiki lamps as though they were spears. And that was 100% down to her. Her behavior, 100 down to her. And then she came on for the next season, and she had, after having seen how she looked on the first season, she was now once again sober. So that was a good move on your part, Leah, because put a couple of drops of alcohol in you and you were absolutely crazy. And she realized that. She modified her behavior. And so, and then she went on ultimate girl trips. I mean, these women were constantly seeking fame and to be on camera once again. So they really can't be calling foul on this one. They just can't. These were adult women fully aware of their behavior, shown their behavior, and any time could modify their behavior. Like I said, nobody put a gun to their heads. So, Andy, I hope you weather this storm. I'm pretty sure you will. And you have my support on this. And unless and until we find out that someone was really forced against their will to act out and in outrageous behaviors, then Team Bravo, Team Andy on this. All right. In the Bravo fame, Crystal Minkoff. I really love the way she and Garcelle are trying to get through to Dorit on her privileged attitude. And because Dorit is just in the dark, all her usual arsenal is completely useless against these arguments, these intelligent arguments that Garcelle and Crystal Minkoff are presenting her with, and she doesn't get it. She is a rabbit in the headlights, and it's fascinating to watch. She came out like, Bathsheba of the handmaidens in her red gown with the curl of her hair ever so, and she thought she's just going to rise above everything, speak in a modulated tone of intelligence and brightness, and she got blasted out of the water by, as I said, some very intelligent arguments and things she really needs to be aware of. So, interesting this week. Dorit, you thought they were going to be coming for Kyle, and guess what? Oh, and speaking of that subject, I'm debating whether to put out my theory on this. No, I think I'm going to wait a little bit more till I see a little more evidence of what I suspect could make Scandival look like a walk in the park. And speaking of Vanderpump Rules, is it going to last another season? I mean, this. Uh, okay, Ariana, I get it. But you've decided to stay on the TV show with him, haven't you? And which means, again, another one greedy for the camera time. And if you really felt the way that you felt, that you had confidence in your burgeoning career, which is, definitely, she's got opportunities that she'd never have offered her had Scandival not happened. If you really didn't want to work with the guy, you wouldn't be on the show. And guess what? You'd be selling that house. So, the world's smallest violin here. And her handmaiden, Katie Maloney. Oh, poor Katie. She's always been a miserable girl. I feel for her. She's very unhappy, and really somebody who shouldn't be doing this work because she's not happy, and it's not bringing her happiness. And I'm sure she's got a lot of people that dump on her all the time because she does have a sour attitude. So both of them, God, do something for yourselves. Pack up and move on. Okay, who else do we have here? Now, I haven't watched this week's Summer House yet, but I've got to tell you, I am savoring it like the jewel, like you saved the best part of your dessert to the last. The Summer House is really a must see so far with what we know the season truly ends with. And we get to see the whole background situation. Now, I've never been a big fan of Lindsay's. I've always thought she was a little too aggressive. Oh God, she's just entitled is the word a little bit. No, entitled's not the right word. Gosh darn. But she's unaware of how she comes across and her lack of empathy for others. Her empathy for herself is large and wide. I mean, that is the biggest ocean in the world, and really why pay attention to any other ocean as far as Lindsay's concerned. And So I'm curious to see. Okay, well, I've already seen it. There's something today. She goes on and on about something she did last night and trying to justify this behavior that we've seen now for what, 8 seasons? That's who she is. You better accept it. If you don't like what you're seeing, change it. But don't try to, spin to us that it's really absolutely a normal, acceptable behavior that people like. Well, people don't like it. So anyway, I will watch it and I'll give you my opinion after I see it. Okay. Now, everybody these days is watching YouTube channels more and more. I'm like, do I even watch network television anymore? It's all streaming, and if I have that odd hour before I go to bed and I have nothing to watch, I go and there's a couple of channels I watch. Of course, there's the Palace Confidential from the Daily Mail, which is every Tuesday, which is fantastic, or Wednesday, whatever it is, and I love it. They, have all sorts of sources at the Palace who tell me, and I love it. Absolutely great. But my other strange little obsession, and I don't know why I watch this guy, except I do know why I watch this guy. This guy is a very good communicator. He is he's great at communicating. I know I just said that. Okay, I just said it again. He is in front of the camera and he commands the camera when he's there. And that is this guy. His name of his site is Growing Up in Scientology, and it's an anti-Scientology site. So if that's offensive to anybody, I apologize. But I find this guy fascinating, and he's quite the advocate for the anti-Scientology movement. And as he points out, he was a child brought up in Scientology. In other words, the parents were the original members, and he got brought along for the ride. And in fact, all these offshoots of what this guy, Aaron Levin Smith, or as he calls himself, Aaron, and he does this funny little clip from, what's his name, Key and Peele, to introduce his show every time, and it does a little joke on guy not knowing how to pronounce Aaron. He calls it Aaron. So anyway, all the little offshoots from Aaron's show are also ex-Scientology kids, and they're very interesting. They're very interesting. And I think this is, if I have an objection about what goes on with Scientology, it's subjecting these children, and these in some cases are infant children, on up, to the indoctrination into, frankly, some of this malarkey. It's my opinion, and I'm sorry if I've insulted anybody. But if I can speak up for kids, that's what I should be doing, because these kids have no control. They're going to do whatever they think is going to please mommy and daddy. But Scientology also teaches that mommy and daddy really aren't your mommy and daddy. They're just fleshy bodies that are housing these souls. I mean, it's so complicated and convoluted. You can't believe it. But it has the Scientology, from what I'm hearing from these channels, has no respect for the family unit. And if the family unit needs to be broken up, well, then tough nuts. We're just going to break it up and you're never to speak to them again. I mean, famously, you can look at Tom Cruise. He made sure his first 2 children cut their mother off, and they did. They went right along with it. And then his 3rd child, thank God for Katie Holmes, because she got the kid out of there. I mean, and he dumped her. He dumped her. His little princess, he dumped her. What a great guy. So anyway, if you're interested in someone who really knows how to do a YouTube channel and really knows how to command the camera and your attention, it's called Growing Up in Scientology, and its moderator is a guy named Aaron Levin Smith, or Aaron Levin Smith. Good stuff. So that is all I have for today. I want to encourage you, if you like the little blurb of what we went on about today, please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button. It was helped me out tremendously. I am brand new to this whole thing, so if this is something you think you'd like, please give me a like and hit subscribe.